So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar on her grave, which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. So remember, Moses is the one who's penning the book of Genesis, so that pillar is still there in Moses' day. Samuel the prophet mentions Rachel's grave in 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 2. So that pillar is still there in Samuel's day. Jeremiah mentions Rachel's grave in Jeremiah 31, so that grave was still there in Jeremiah's day. The people of the children of Israel, as they're carried away into captivity in Babylon, they pass by Rachel's grave on their way into captivity. And we're told here that her grave is at Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Now this is not, give me attention, this is not the Bethlehem where Jesus was born. There were 3 Bethlehems in ancient Israel. There's one up in the Galilee, there's one down in Judah where Jesus was born, and there's a Bethlehem in the territory of Benjamin. And this is the Bethlehem that was in the territory of Benjamin, not the Bethlehem that is in Judah. This territory is later given to Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, when they're dividing up the land, because Rachel died there giving birth to Benjamin. So they give that region to the tribe of Benjamin. Again, 1 Samuel 10:2 tells us and makes it clear that Rachel's tomb is in the territory of Benjamin, not in Judah. Now, why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because there is a site near the city of Bethlehem in Judah that is known as Rachel's tomb. It's the wrong place. It's not in the right location. Now here's the crazy thing. It has been named a World Heritage Site by the United Nations. And not only that, it's actually in Palestinian territory. And so it is, over the years, there have been terrorist attacks against that Rachel's tomb. So the Israeli government, back in 1997, they built a huge concrete wall around Rachel's tomb. I mean, huge, like 20 feet high, 20-foot high walls with barbed wire and guard towers on the walls. They've got armed guards there now, soldiers positioned there. And to go there, you actually have to catch a bus. You can catch a bus in Jerusalem. Many Jewish people go there. It's a holy site for Jewish people, especially Jewish women who are trying to conceive or are pregnant. They go there to pray at Rachel's tomb in Bethlehem of Judah. You can get a bus in Jerusalem. It's a bulletproof bus. You get an armed escort into this town to Rachel's tomb. It's not the right place. It's not the right place. The Bible clearly says, 1 Samuel 10:2, that Rachel is born in the or buried in the territory of Benjamin, not Judah. That's not Rachel's tomb. And the ironic thing is there actually is a location in the territory of Benjamin that archaeologists believe is possibly Rachel's tomb. Nobody goes there. It's like out in a vacant lot. Most people don't even know it's there. Which, it just shows us the importance of reading the Bible carefully and rightly dividing the word of truth. There was just a terrorist attack there in 2020. Somebody tried to bomb it. It's important to rightly divide the word of truth and not allow tradition to usurp what the Scripture says. I'm like on a crusade now to get it changed, right? To get the right place, Save the whales and save Rachel's tomb. So after she dies, she's buried there. He puts a pillar there, marks the grave. Verse 21, then Israel journeyed and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Edar. And it happened, verse 22, that when Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went in and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Now, this detail is given to us because this is what disqualifies Reuben, and this is why Reuben loses the birthright. As we see in chapter 49, we talked about that last week. So Reuben is disqualified by this. It costs him the birthright. Last week we saw that Simeon and Levi were disqualified, and so the birthright passes to Judah. It's from Judah that Jesus Christ comes. And then we're given the sons of Jacob are mentioned in verses 23, 24, 25. And it says in verse 26 as well. And then we skip down to verse 27. And then Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, or Kirjath Arbah, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had dwelt. And this seems to be the first time that they've met with each other after 30 years. He sees his father again. And he's able actually to spend 12 years with his father before his father passes away. His father never gets to meet Rachel. Rachel dies before he's reunited with his father. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years, and so Isaac breathed his last and died. It also means that Isaac lived long enough to see Joseph sold into captivity. Remember, his brothers hatched that plan. We'll get to that in a few chapters. And they make it appear that Joseph was killed by a wild animal. Isaac, his grandfather, lives during that time and sees that, but is not alive when it's discovered that Joseph is still alive in Egypt. So Isaac breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. And so Esau and Jacob come together this one time for the last time to bury their father. If God's calling you to return to Bethel, if you've drifted away, you've wandered off, especially over the last year, if you've kind of cooled off in your relationship with the Lord in some way, and Jesus isn't the priority that he once was, and he's not the priority that he should be, God calls you to come back. Come back to Bethel, return. And I want to encourage you to do that today before you leave. Recommit your life to Christ if you've drifted away from him.